champion. Not only tonight became the world champion, but the world record holder as well. 12.40 in the semis should have given us some indication as to what would follow
the national anthem
in the final.
Of Nigeria.
12.06. Wind assisted, doesn't matter. Amazon is the champion of the world.
Wow, wow, wow. I played this segment of Tobia Musa's victory for Nigeria, not for Yorubas, not for Igbos, not for the Southwest, not for the Southeast, not for... She shined for Nigeria. And we all took pride. I tear very easily. I'm not showing that part. But when I saw her get introduced as the gold winner, a Nigerian champion, and then they crowned it with the national anthem of our country, I could just see hundreds of millions of Nigerians with their chests pumped out. There was no IPOB. There was no Dudua. There was no Boko Haram. There was no Fulani. It was all Nigerian pride. So when you critique me and you critique my position on some of the candidates that are running that I think are grossly corrupt, and you critique my position on backing Peter Obi and Dati Ahmed, I take pride in you criticizing me because I know that tens of millions of Nigeria's youth stand with me. And my fight is not for me. It's not for Peter Obi. It's not for Dati Ahmed. My fight is for Nigeria's youth and giving our country back to them.
Nigeria is not what it should be today. And if anybody says anything to the contrary, then his or her head will need to be examined. I see 6 and have a dozen. 6 and have a dozen. I don't know what choice you will make out of that 2. And is there any choice? That's where prayer is very important. And don't let us deceive ourselves. We have a choice. It's whether we make the right choice or we ignore making the right choice. And if we don't make the right choice, we don't blame anybody. We blame ourselves.
Okay, folks, there you heard it. It's up to us. It's in our hands. These recordings that I have is not about me, and the things I say are not about what I think. they are about our country. He's not always correct. I know a lot of people who have their opinions of President Obasanjo, but one thing is clear. The sound bites you heard on that video critically applies to the elections in 2023. If we play tribal politics, if we play conservative, selfish politics, it's in our hands. But there is one thing I can guarantee you. If we don't get it right, there is a very good possibility our country would disintegrate into war. Different factions, different regions are going to start agitating to break away. If the same thing that happened in 1967 happens, the federal government is not going to allow it. When they don't allow it, it's going to be another civil war and a lot of bloodshed. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to say that Nigeria's youth is not going to lay back down. This is not Lekki Toll Gate. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago. And I had to do that intro before doing my normal plug. I hope you enjoyed this video. There is a potpourri of things I have to bring to you today. And this video calls for deep thinking. You're going to hear me name names specifically. I'm being fearless about it. I'm being truthful about it. And the truth hurts. Some people are going to be offended. But I want you to offend it as food for thought. We have to think very deeply about these elections coming up in 2023. It's our country. It's not mine. I can't tell you how to feel. I have the right to say what I feel. You have the right to say what you feel. If we happen to communicate about it, which I'm happy we do, we exchange ideas on it. I digest yours, you digest mine, and hopefully somehow we can be logical enough in convincing each other to find some kind of middle ground. But I think it's also important that we really search our different consciences. One of the phrases I've been using very much lately is progressive Nigerians. And I insist that this election is in the hands of progressive Yorubas from the southwestern part of Nigeria. Why do I keep laying that emphasis? And I'll tell you why I lay that emphasis. The loudest segment of Nigeria is the southwestern part of Nigeria. Let me modify that so it doesn't sound prejudiced. They have the biggest bullhorn. Much of the press, much of the visible mainstream press, whether it's the print press or the electronic press, or even initially, social media was concentrated in that part of the country. Why was even social media concentrated there? Because the Southwest, especially the Lagos mega cosmopolitan area, had the most access to the internet in the initial days of internet coming into Nigeria. And that's where the social media started. So when you hear things coming out of there, if it's said long enough, in Igbo language we said, Aruruana or Arurumane, Bafo or Orobenala. When lies are told long enough, or incomplete stories are told long enough over and over and over again, eventually they start to sound like the truth. One of the things I'm going to do with my bullhorn may not be as big as some of the bullhorns out there, but I have this bullhorn, is I'm going to do everything I can to dispute many of those lies and incomplete stories that have been told over and over and over again to the point where it has started to sound like the truth. But they are not. And we have to dispute these things. Now, I said that the Southwest has the loudest bullhorn, but these lies and incomplete stories don't only emanate from the Southwest. You have it coming from the Southeast. You have the conservative Southeasterners who also tell stories that are not true but do nothing but poison the minds of Southeasterners against the rest of the country, especially against the Southwest and the Fulani. All those stories need to be corrected. They need to be corrected on all sides of our country. In this video, to help me illustrate some of the things I'm doing, I'm going to get some segments of certain videos that appeal to me, some of them completely unrelated to politics, but we could read so much from them as it relates to Nigeria's politics. I may play some of them in a sequence. I may play some of them further down the road, but I want you to take a good listen to this video from the beginning to the end, because there is so much we can learn. There is so much of my position I can explain, but let me start where it hurts, because that's who I hear the most from. I am 100% an advocate for the Peter Obi, Baba-Ahmed presidency and vice presidency in 2023. I am advocating for those positions because I know that those two people are the two that I'm convinced that if they become president and vice president, there'll be equity, fairness in the distribution of everything, every position, and every resource that our country has. I don't see any of the other major candidates that can do that. Maybe not because of lack of will, but because they have their hands tied. They've been too closely connected to the reasons that we got into this rut. And they may be coming into this with the intent of coming in to say, enough is enough, I want to clean it. But when you sleep with the enemy, you die with the enemy. And if you've been sleeping with them all these years, and you now come in to think you're going to just change everything against their wish, it's not going to work. They're going to make life impossible for you. And we don't have the time anymore in Nigeria to wait for any president to wash his hands of the garbage he's been collecting for decades. There's not enough time in 4 years to deal with all that politics and get back to the politics of fixing our country. Many throw out these things about a candidate who is the best to have demonstrated his ability to pick the right people to do the work. I don't know about the best, but I'll be the first, and I know I've written about it, and I could pull it out. I can't post it here, but I'll refer you where you could read it on social media. I've been on record to say that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the last 22 years in Lagos, has left fingerprints of a lot of good hirings, even a lot of good roadmaps that he created. A lot of good things have happened to Lagos and in Lagos because Bola Ahmed Tinubu had his hands in those things coming to be. We give him credit for that. But a lot of bad things have also happened in Lagos and happened in Nigeria because Bola Ahmed Tinubu had his fingerprints in the beginning of those things happening. We're trying to build a new Nigeria. The youth are sick and tired of business as usual. Are we going to build a new Nigeria predicated on a man who knows how to hire and has good intentions for Nigeria, but his antecedents show that his selfish interests are bigger than the good work he has done in places he has done those works for? Or are we going to put our faith in a man who his antecedents have shown that he was in a position where he could have taken advantage of those positions to make himself even a much bigger benefactor than what he has benefited in public life? Who do we want to put our trust in? Our youth are tired of lack of fairness and lack of equity in distribution of resources and hiring and everything else that goes with it. We cannot say this person is good, he hires good people, he has good ideas, but along the line there are all these allegations of wrongdoing that the answers haven't been clarified to the people. Anybody can be accused of anything. I'm not saying he's guilty of those things, but everybody else running in this election has come out on national TV and tried to explain away what happened, what the end result was, and all that. And I'm not sure all the answers have been gotten, but at least they've come out. It's up to the press not to give them a break when they come out. But based on the breaks the press have given so far to the two who have come out to explain what happened, it seems like it's not much to it. But one candidate, who is Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been sending surrogates to national TV to bullshit Nigerians. Nigerians are tired of the BS. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu wants to be president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu should come out to Channels TV or Arise TV, not to his TV station, but even his TV station has not interviewed him on the slew of allegations that are trailing him dating back to the 80s. I am not saying he's guilty of any of those things. I'm saying if he wants to be president of Nigeria, I will throw my hat. I would absolutely throw my hat behind him if he comes out on national TV and explain away the details of all those allegations that trail him from the United States to his 8 years in government in Lagos State and to his connections, continued connections to government and how resources are distributed over the last 22 years in Lagos State. It is my business. Yes, I'm not from Lagos as an indigene, but I live in Lagos when I'm in Nigeria, and I've lived in Lagos all my life, and I'm a Nigerian. And anything that concerns Nigeria, until you decide you want to break it up and give us Biafra and tell me to get the hell out of here and go to your damn Biafra, if it concerns any inch of Nigeria, as long as I am a Nigerian, it is my business. And if I want to have any kind of credibility in my commentary, I should not shy away from it. If I shy away from it, I have no credibility in my commentary. It means that I say what people want to hear. And it goes back to probably one of the biggest things people like me face when we do our work. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. It comes a time when your integrity and your credibility in the work you do should count more than anything else. A lot of people tell me, and I mean a lot of close people tell me, Fred, be careful. Be careful the things you say. It's painful dealing with the caution that you get from people who care about you dearly and balancing it with what you think is the right thing to do for a country you love very dearly. When it's all said and done, someday we're all gonna go. It may be at 90, it may be at 60. We don't know when. But when we go, what legacy are we going to be remembered for? None of us is perfect. I'm far from perfect. But when it comes to what I do and do best publicly, I want to leave the right legacy. I want to be the one who stood with the truth, even though I lost, than the one who covered up lies and won, even though it's wrong. And for all the very intelligent people I know who are either publicly telling me that I'm not being fair by supporting Peter Obi, I honestly would like a one-on-one debate with them, publicly, so that they could tell me what they don't like about Peter Obi and be upfront about it. Because I've told them what my concerns are about Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's not about dislike. I've said it over and over and over again, and this is the biggest challenge we have as Nigerians. We had opportunities. When I say we, I mean as basic Nigerians, not as tribes, to bring out the best candidates we have to run in a critical election to save our country. And sadly, 90% of what we brought out was garbage. And then, when somebody chooses to talk about those choices we brought out in the light of exactly what they are, you become a villain. The southwestern part of Nigeria has a slew of incredibly qualified, good people that would have made excellent candidates in this election to the point where it will be a battle, even for a non-Southwesterner, especially even for a Southeasterner, to not support those candidates, at least based on political parties, Labour Party, PDP, or APC. If I were a member of APC and Peter Obi is a member of Labour Party, and Yemi Osinbajo was running in this election, there is no way that I'll support Peter Obi. Because I know that Yemi Osinbajo, yes, there are certain things you think he may not have said over the last 7.5 years. Nigeria is a deadly country. He had to be careful. Before they poisoned him, he had his hands tied. But if you followed his body language from the day he was elected, from the day he was nominated, to the day he was elected until this day, all you see in his body language and his spoken language is a man who loves Nigeria with an open heart and with fairness and with equity, regardless of the deep tribalism that exists between Southwesterners and Southeasterners and Fulanis and all that. Yemi Osinbajo is one of the Nigerians that would stand his ground and fight for a fair Nigeria, and not a Nigeria that benefits him and his cronies. So this thing is not about Peter Obi being an Igbo man and me being. There are Igbos who, if they were running in this election in place of Peter Obi, that I will condemn. Some of them ran in the primaries within the APC. No hard feelings. I will not support Odious Okalo to be president of Nigeria. I just don't think he has what it takes to do it. And I don't like his past. I would not support Rochas to be the president of Nigeria. I do not like his history. I don't like his history in Imo State. And it's about our country, not the tribe. Folks, I am getting tired, but there's still 6 months before the election, and I refuse to get tired. And I refuse to stop trying my best. I'm not trying my best to convince 60-year-old people who should know better, and 70-year-old people who should know better, and 80-year-old people who should know better. At 50, 60, 70, and 80 and beyond, we are who we are. For the most part, for many of us, tribalism has eaten so deep into us that even when we say all the right things that are politically correct, our natural instincts remain: is he Igbo? Is he Yoruba? Is he Fulani? And this, I think, is probably where the so-called minorities in Nigeria are to a large extent better than many of us who, by the accident of birth, got born into the Igbo tribe and Yoruba tribe and the Fulani and Hausa tribe. Because the so-called minorities are much more open-minded. Yeah, not all of them, but for the most part, much more open-minded in the way they make decisions that affect our country until those three major tribes, so-called major tribes, start dragging them into a tribalistic politics by promising them certain things that may sway them one way or the other. I have children. I have grandchildren. In the next 15 years, I'll probably have great-grandchildren if I'm alive. What Nigeria do we want to bequeath them? We make these arguments on social media and sometimes even vehemently argue and shout at each other about these positions we take that are based nothing but on tribe. But that's because we're lucky. Our children and grandchildren are not going to be too lucky. If we don't fix this mess, if we don't take ourselves out of this tribalistic jargon that guides many of the decisions we make, our children may be settling these problems with beheading themselves, setting themselves on fire. It's already happening. And this is only the beginning if we don't fix it. I think one of the biggest problems in Nigeria is probably one of the biggest cornerstones of our value system, which is that we respect our elders so much. I believe we should respect our elders. For the most part, they are very wise. But I think after we're grown and educated, it's also okay if we teach our elders, bring new points of view into how things are done. An independent Southeast Biafra is not going to do better than a united progressive Nigeria. An independent Southwest Oduduwa state is not going to do better than a progressive united Nigeria. The fallacy we have and we condone about our country, our parents and grandparents, and us now by the tribalistic politics we're playing, are responsible for the mess Nigeria has become. That is the reason we are fighting to break away. Which means that when we break away, and that's every once in a while, I wish we will, because I would like to see an Oduduwa state that right now promises to bring you all this beautiful gold and silver, and you are not going to get along. Yorubas were fighting themselves way before Nigeria was created. And I'd like to see this beautiful Biafra that IPOB is fighting for. In the last 2 years, we already see what southeastern Nigeria has been turned into a death zone. 90% of the killings in the southeast of Nigeria is not done by anybody but Igbos killing themselves. And that's the Biafra we're looking for. That will be the Oduduwa state you're looking for. Look what's going on in the north. Look what's going on with Boko Haram. Yes, as scared as Southerners are of Boko Haram, most of the killings by Boko Haram has been their fellow Fulanis and Hausas. But on the general, in the headline of all those three agitating groups, Their problem is the other person. When in reality, if we look in the mirror, we're staring at the problem and none of it has to do with somebody outside our boundaries. Folks, our biggest problems lie in us. And on top of those problems is that we lie to ourselves. Grown men and women should not be lying to themselves. And I'll conclude on this note. Nigeria's youth, don't let them play this politics with you. Tell your tribalistic aunties and uncles and fathers and mothers that you respect them, you love them, but in 2023, you need to be a man or a woman and make your own choices. Take a good look at the candidates. Take a good look at Peter Obi's antecedents. Take a good look at Bola Ahmed Tinubu's antecedents. Take a good look at Abubakar Atiku's antecedents. Take a good look at Kwankwanso's antecedents. In 2019, there was a very, very loud movement by youthful candidates that were running in that election against President Buhari and Abubakar Atiku. The youth came out in masses with their own candidates. In this election, the youth registered a lot of candidates. But those youthful candidates are not as disenfranchised as they've been in the past. There's a reason for that. There's a candidate in this election that the youth strongly believe that if that candidate is elected in the next 4 to 8 years, it's no longer going to be lip service. It's going to be real. That Nigeria will not only elect a president 50 years old and under, but that Nigeria, from vice president to ministers to managing directors of companies, will be a rainbow coalition of a strong representation of Nigerians under 50 and 45 years old. But the key is in your hands. You must not let your uncles and aunties and fathers and mothers and grandparents and their tribalism influence your logical ability to make your own decisions. You don't have to vote for Peter Obi. You can vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I say that with a straight face. You can vote for Abubakar Atiku. And I say that with a straight face. You can vote for Kwankwanso. And I say that with a straight face. All I'm saying is, regardless of who you vote for, let your vote be cast based on your own conviction and not based on tribal influences that uncles and aunties and fathers and mothers are poisoning your minds with. You are the ones who are brilliant medical doctors. You are the ones who are brilliant pharmacists. You are the ones who are brilliant college professors and teachers and scientists and IT professionals and business people doing great things. 99% of you are doing what you're doing without any input whatsoever from an uncle, an auntie, a father, a mother, or grandparents. Why don't you transfer that incredible, talented intelligence that has guided you to become who you are? Translate it to your politics. When you people take over Nigeria's politics, it wouldn't be long before we are no longer talking about tribalism as an important part of our national living. Folks, in the next 20 years, 25 years, in some cases 5 years, 2 years from now, many of the people 60 and over would have exited this world. But in the next 25, 40 years, many of you have a possibility of living in the Nigeria that you create. And that creation, beautiful or ugly, starts in 2023. I'm going to end with playing you a sequence of sound bites from different videos, some of them unrelated to politics, but I want them to be food for thought as we prepare to deal with the barrage of social media noises that you're going to be hearing from people who have an agenda to prove a point that is not in the interest of Nigeria. You guys are young. I mean the youth. So the next thing I'm saying has to do with the grown people, because I want to prick their conscience, because many of them lived in a beautiful Nigeria that had promise. And I say to them, may you play a role in bringing about the glory days of Nigeria again. That is serious food for thought. And I want you to think about it as you play these silly tribal politics and sending out irrelevant, Zeke did this, Awolowo did this garbage that does nothing for our future.
And I want you to make a promise today, not to your parents, not to your best friends, but to yourself, that you will become everything that God has created you to become on earth. And that will happen. That will happen as long as you keep your head to the sky. You can win as long as you keep your head to the sky. You will win.
Once again, this is Fred Nwankwo coming to you from our studios in Chicago. And may we do what it takes to make sure that we maintain one strong, fair, equitable, united Nigeria. Good night.